Welcome to Glorious IAS Academy. Today we are going to discuss about the types of mountains, and based on the location there is a one type of classification. On the basis of the location they classified into the two types, continental mountains as well as the oceanic mountains. Continental mountains are found on the continents. Inside the continents are the coastal areas, and they found on the ocean surface, oceanic surface. They formed on the oceans. Continents mountains are found on the continents, and ocean mountains they found on the oceans. So continent mountains further divided into the two types. First one is coastal mountains and second one is inland mountains. Coastal mountains are found on the coastal lines because of the ocean and continent convergence. Because ocean plate and continental plate convergence, the coastal mountains would be created. They found on the coastal lines of the continents. So for example, Rockies found on the North American coastal line, and Andes they found on the South American coastal lines. These are the best example for the coastal mountains. So as well as the Rockies, Appalachian mountains, Alpine mountains, Western Ghats, Eastern Ghats are the best example for the coastal mountains. If you see the map, these are the Rocky ranges, these are the Rockies, and these are the Andes and Western Ghats, Eastern Ghats. These are the Appalachian mountains. These are the best example for the coastal mountains. So inland mountains are they found inside the land, inside the continent. They found on the inside the continent. So they are called inland mountains. So Vosges is one of the type of inland mountains. Black Forest, Kunlun, Tansen, Atlant mountains of the Asia, Aravalli, Satpura, Maikal. These are some of the best example for the inland mountain systems. Next one, as part of the location classification, based on the location, the second type of is oceanic mountains. They found inside the oceans or on the surface of the oceans. For example, they found on the continental shelves or the ocean floors. And the best example, Mauna Kea, this is 9,140 meters. It would be the very highest mountain range on the ocean surface. So if you take the ocean only, it is the highest mountain range on the ocean. So second type of the classification is based on the period of origin. In which period they have origin, in which time they have origin. Based on the time, second classifications would be there. For example, there are nine orogenic or mountain building movements are there. Total 9 types of there, and they found between 600 to 3,500 million years. 6,000 to 3,500 million years. So if you see some of them, first one is Precambrian mountains. Precambrian mountains, they found 4 billion years ago. They found 4 billion years ago, very old mountains. They are the very old mountain system, very old mountain systems, and they subjected to continuous upheaval, denudational process and metamorphosis process. These old rocks are the old mountains. They undergo continuous change because of the various weathering systems, various weathering elements. For example, pressure, temperature, and these are some of the weathering elements. Because of this weathering process, continuous erosional process, they will change continuously. So because of this changing, they will form into the residual mountains. They formed into the residual mountains. And next one, for example, Laurentian mountains and Angloman mountains are the best example for the Precambrian mountains. And next one, Caledonian mountains. They formed in between 430 to 380 million years ago. For example, Appalachian, Aravalli and Mahadevo, these are the best example for the Caledonian mountains. And third type is Hercynian mountains. they formed somewhere between 340 million years and 225 million years. For example, Vejas, Black Forest, Atlai Mountains and Shan Mountains and Ural Mountains are the best example for the Hercynian mountains. And third one, next one, Alpine mountain system. They are very young mountains. They are very young mountains, but they have recently formed due to the tectonic disturbances, tectonic movement of the plates. So somewhere around 65 to 7 million years ago they have formed. Best example Rockies, Andes, Alpine mountains of Europe and Atlas mountains, and Himalayas are the best example for the young fold mountains. Third type, based on the mode of origin, this is a third type of the classification based on the mode of origin. Mode of origin, there are two types. One is tectonic mountains, another one is erosional or relict or residual mountains. What do you mean by the tectonic mountains? As we know, when ocean plate and continental plate convergence, the Rockies and Andes and various fold mountain systems would be developed. And continent convergence also, fold mountains, various mountain systems will be developed. So because of the lithospheric, they are derived because of the convectional current that are formed inside the mantle. Because of this convectional currents movements, the upper limbs of the convectional currents will pull the or push the various lithospheric plates, and because of this pulling and pushing force of the convectional currents, they formed into the upper mantle. Because of this crustal movements or lithospheric movements of the various major and minor plates, so these tectonic mountains would be formed. These tectonic mountains would be formed because of the tectonic forces. So they are formed product of the tectonic force. For example, fold mountain systems, Himalayas, Rockies, Andes, they are the fold mountains because of the continent or ocean and ocean convergence. And block mountains, Vejas mountains in France, Black Forest mountains in Germany, and Vindhya and Satpura mountains, they found in the India. So they are best example for the block mountain. And volcanic mountains, Cascade Range, Kilimanjaro and Mount Fujiyama, they are the best example for the volcanic mountains. So what do you mean by the volcanic mountains? Volcanic mountains, because of the convectional currents, a huge pressure is created on the lithospheric plate, and the plate is divided as a fissures. Fissures will be developed. Means a cracks will be developed on the lithospheric, and due to these cracks, the molten magma from the asthenosphere would erupt through these cracks and solidifies into the layers. And the layer by layer, the successive layers over the surface of the earth formed into the volcanic mountain. Volcanic mountain formed due to successive layer deposition of the rocks that are erupted because of the those are created because of the molten magma that erupted over the surface of the earth through the cracks that are developed because of the convectional currents. So simply put, volcanic mountains are formed due to the successive layer deposition by the molten magma over the millions of years, and they contain the dust particles and gases, various gases they have erupted, and solid sediments and different type of rocks. So combinedly they formed into the layers, and they formed a cone type of structure. So based on this material, based on this type of the lava, viscosity of the lava, we can divide it into the various types of the volcanic mountains. In subsequent classes in the volcanism, we are going to discuss about the various types of the volcanoes. So due to the volcanic activity they have created, and Mount Aconcagua, Mount Kilimanjaro, Mount Mauna Kea and Mount Fujiyama are the best example for the volcanic mountains, and they fall around the vent in successive layers, building up of a characteristic volcanic cone. So they are very common in the circum-Pacific belt, and these mountains are often called mountains of accumulation because of the accumulation of the successive layers and around the fissures or cracks. So that's why they are called accumulated mountains. So with this we are ending this class. In this class we have discussed about the types of mountains, and there are three types of classifications are there, based on the location, based on the mode of origin, based on the time. And based on the location we have divided into two types, continental mountains and oceanic mountains. Continental mountains further divided into two types. One is coastal mountains, for example Rockies and Andes, and another one is inland mountains. Best example is Himalayas, Urals, Altai mountains. And based on the time, there are nine important mountain systems are there based on the time. But we have discussed very few. Precambrian, we have discussed Caledonian, Hercynian, and these are some of the classification based on the time. So third important classification is based on the mode of origin. Based on the mode of origin we have discussed two types, tectonic mountains and residual mountains. In tectonic mountains, it is formed due to the tectonic movements of the plates. So block mountains, fold mountains, and these are the best example for the tectonic mountains, and volcanic mountains also part of the tectonic. Residual mountains nothing but these mountains over a period of time they eroded, and they eroded by the various weathering elements like wind, like running water, and like weathering systems. So because of these weathering elements, they have eroded continuously over the millions of years. They formed into the residual mountains. So Deccan Plateau is the very best example for the residual mountains. Thank you very much.